everyone, welcome back to Actual English. My name is Jennifer Clyde. It's a wonderful pleasure to have you joining me. Now, this whole week we'll be talking about our childhood, what we were like in elementary school perhaps, and then in middle and high school. Also, what interested us in university and what we did to prepare for jobs. And then we'll also finish off by talking about the future after retirement. So, first of all, we'll be focusing on elementary school today in Lesson 6. What were you like in elementary school? In grades 1 through 6, that is, or 1 through 5. Okay, of course, depending on the country. But as for me, I was a very energetic little girl. I used to fight with all the boys in school, and I used to win. So, I was not a very shy girl back in elementary school. I wasn't exactly a mama's boy. I used to like to run around back then, play with the boys. I was also part of the Brownie, or what we also call Girl Scouts. Were you a part of Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts as well? These are a little of the few things we can talk about when we talk about our elementary school years or our childhood. So, are you ready? Let's begin with today's Actual Talk.
Peter.
Hello.
You know, I saw a picture of your new baby boy.
Yes.
And he looks very much like you physically.
He's very chubby, Rachel. What are
no,
you
not
trying
the
to
chubby
say?
part, but you know, his eyes and his nose and his mouth, he looks very similar to you.
Yeah, I think physically he's similar to me, but like emotional-wise and personality-wise, he's quite different.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you like when you were younger?
When I first went to elementary school, we call it primary school in the UK, actually. I cried so much that first day, you know, being away from my mum and stuff like that. And I was a really shy kid.
Okay.
You know,
were you a mama's boy?
I was a big-time mama's boy. I'm an only child, and I didn't like to make a fuss or, you know, disturb anyone or anything like that. But Gio, he liked shouting and screaming and getting everyone's attention. So I think emotionally we're very different. But at school, yeah, primary school, I remember the first few years, it's really tough to make friends if you're really shy.
That's true.
Did you have the same problem at all?
You know, I think I was very talkative when I was younger because I was the youngest.
Oh, wow.
And I think when you have older siblings, you end up learning how to talk quicker and just your vocabulary grows faster. So I was very talkative, but I did cry a lot like you too. I was a crybaby, and it was because I always wanted to be with my mom. So whenever
being the youngest as well.
Yeah, I think so. And you can relate to that, as you said,
Sure.
you were an only child. But every time my mom left me with another family member, I would just cry.
Oh dear.
So I was really disliked by many of my family members.
Well, I really hope for Gio's sake that he's not like us. He doesn't cry so much when he first goes to school. I hope it'll be okay.
I hope so too. Do you think he's very similar to your wife's personality then?
He's got half, and I think that's great for kids to take a bit from each parent.
Exactly.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Welcome back, everyone. Did you enjoy the little conversation between Peter and Rachel? Well, of course, these two were talking about their childhood, their elementary school years, but not so much about school. They talked about the personality as they were a little girl or a little boy. They also talked about who they took after looks-wise. So they even talked about their appearance. Now let's find out what else they talked about through our actual talk. Here we go, line by line. First of all, Rachel began by saying, Peter, I saw a picture of your baby boy. Okay, and he looks very much like you physically. Let's take a look at this. First of all, I saw a picture of your baby boy. So she's obviously talking about Peter's son, right? Okay, and she says, and he looks very much like you. Okay, he looks like you. We all know that, but physically. Okay, now one thing I do want to point out here is when we see a star there, it means we'll be taking a look at that word or that phrase or that expression in just a bit, okay? So physically, we're talking about our appearance, our looks, okay? Our outer looks. And then Peter says, he's very chubby, Rachel. What are you trying to say? Yes, so he meaning, he's talking about his son, he's chubby. Meaning, this is just a cute way of saying fat, okay? Now, if you say to someone, wow, you're fat, it could actually hurt their feelings, okay? So if you say that somebody is chubby, in Korean, exactly, it is 통통하다, okay? Not 뚱뚱하다, but 통통하다. It's a cute way of saying that you are a little bit overweight. So he says, what are you talking about? What are you trying to say? I'm thin. Rachel says, no, not the chubby part, but his eyes and his nose and his mouth. So she's basically saying that his little baby boy takes after Peter. Peter says, yeah, I think physically he's similar to me. But emotional-wise and personality-wise, he's quite different. So once again, Peter is saying physically. When we're talking about our outer looks, appearance, yeah, he looks like me, he does. But emotional-wise and personality-wise, he is a bit different. Let's take a look at what these actually mean. First of all, we talked about physically, which means appearance or looks, and also something wise, such as appearance-wise or even looks-wise. You can say physically, we have a lot of similarities, meaning on the outside. From what you see on the outside, we are very similar in many ways. What about this? Their appearance or their looks are similar. Simply put, they look very similar. 외모가 같다는 말이죠. Looks-wise, I take after my mother. Now, if you add the wise here, it means in a manner, in some sort of way. Okay, looks-wise, I take after my mother. Now, let's take a look at personality-wise to help you understand a bit more. So, personality-wise, in a way, in a certain manner. Personality-wise, we're very much alike. Okay? All right. Now back to the conversation. Rachel says, what were you like when you were younger? Okay, younger meaning because he is still young, but younger than now. He says, when I first went to elementary school, we called it primary school in the UK. So he's talking about what elementary school is called in the UK. So next time when you hear primary school, it means elementary school, okay? So we say elementary school, but in perhaps Europe, right, in the UK, they call it primary school. So he says, in primary school, I cried so much, right, that first day. I was really a shy kid. He was a shy boy. And then Rachel says, were you a mama's boy? I'm sure you all may know this already, but let's take a look at what it actually means. Okay, I was a big-time mama's boy. So he's saying I was a mama's boy, but a big time meaning not time-wise, but big time here means a huge, okay? He was a very serious, he was a huge mama's boy. I'm an only child, okay? When you say that you are the only child, if you don't have any siblings, you would say I am an only child, never the only child. And I don't like to disturb anyone or anything like that, but Jiho is his son's name, okay? He likes shouting and screaming and getting everybody's attention or everyone's attention. Remember, they were talking about looks-wise. Yes, his son takes after Peter, but he said emotional-wise or even personality-wise, we're very different. So, Peter was a very shy boy when he was little, but Jiho, his son, he's different. He likes to shout, he likes to scream, and he likes getting everyone's attention. Meaning, look at me, okay? Pay attention to me. And then he says, so I think emotionally, we're very different. He stresses it one more time. All right, now, and then Rachel says that's true. Let's break it up one more time. Remember, mama's boy? Mama boy, I think that's what we call it in Korea, mama boy. But in English, remember to add the apostrophe and the S. So it's either mother's boy or mummy's boy, as in the UK they call mom, right? M-U-M. So mummy's boy or mama's boy. Mummy, mama, okay? So a man a guy who is excessively attached to his mother at a certain age. This is the definition of a mama's boy. It also means, of course, mother bonded. We also say mother bonded. But in case of a girl, you can say she is a father's girl or she is a papa's girl, okay? So, yes, remember the difference is mother's boy, father's girl, mama's boy, papa's girl. Moving back. Now, Peter asks, did you have the same problem at all? Now, Rachel talks about herself. Let's take a look. She says, I think when you have older siblings, meaning older brothers and sisters, you end up learning how to talk quicker and your vocabulary grows faster. That's right. That's true. If you have an older brother or an older sister, they talk to you. And they even use more difficult vocabulary. So you do learn to talk quicker, meaning faster, at an earlier age. And of course, your vocabulary grows, develops faster as well. You learn more words. So I was very talkative. What does talkative mean? To be talkative means to talk a lot. So if you have a friend or if you seem to talk all the time, constantly talking and talking and talking, you can say that you are talkative or he or she is talkative. But I did cry a lot, like you too. I was a crybaby. What is a crybaby? A crybaby is, of course, a baby, a little boy or a girl that cries a lot. But even an adult can be a crybaby. A person that complains a lot all the time, a person that cries easily or whines a lot, you can call that person a crybaby. And it was because I always wanted to be with my mom. So it sounds like she was also a very shy girl as well. Now Peter says, and you being the youngest, meaning because she had siblings. Rachel says, every time my mom left me with another family member, I would just cry, and cry. So she is stressing the fact that she was a cry baby, right? So she says, so I was really disliked by many of my family members, meaning a lot of my family members did not like me. They disliked me. Okay, let's move on. And then Peter finally says, well, I really hope for Jiho's sake that he's not like us. I hope he doesn't cry so much, right, when he first goes to school. So we're taking a look at for somebody's sake. Let's check out what that actually means. So for the sake of someone, that's an idiomatic expression, or for the sake of something. So basically means for the purpose or the benefit of someone or something. Here's an example. You can say, I often try to use easy vocabulary for the sake of the viewers that find the lectures difficult. So here it is, for the sake of so-and-so. Simply put, for the benefit of the viewers. For the sake of the viewers means for the benefit of the viewers, all right? Okay, and also for one's sake, it means for one's good as well, for one's own benefit. You shouldn't thank me. I did it for your sake. I did it for you. I did it to help you. I did it for your benefit, okay? Let's move on. And then Rachel says, I hope so too. Meaning, I hope that when I later on have a child, he or she doesn't cry when they first go to school. And then she asks, do you think he is very similar to your wife then? Similar to somebody, meaning to take after somebody. And he says, he's got half-half, and I think that is great for kids, to take a bit from somebody, from each parent. Nobody's perfect. And he ends the conversation. But here we have half-half. He has half-half. What could that mean? Let's take a look. Now, 50-50 is another way of saying that. Half A, half B is another way. It means 50% A and 50% B, okay? Part A and part B. So, for example, you can say all the participants had a 50-50 chance of passing. So, for example, back to the talk, Rachel asked Peter, so is your little boy, your baby boy, similar to your wife? He said, well, he's 50% like my wife and 50% like me. That's a very long sentence, so you could simply say, well, he's half-half. 반반이야. 반반 닮았어. Or you can use 50-50 and say, well, he's 50-50. 50 my wife and 50 me. Okay, simply put. That brings us to an end to today's actual talk, everyone. Let's listen one more time with the subtitles.
Peter.
Hello.
I saw a picture of your new baby boy.
Yes.
And he looks very much like you physically.
He's very chubby, Rachel. What are
No,
you
not
trying
the
to
chubby
say?
part, but his eyes and his nose and his mouth, he looks very similar to you.
Yeah, I think physically he's similar to me, but like emotional-wise and personality-wise, he's quite different.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you like when you were younger?
When I first went to elementary school, we call it primary school in the UK, actually. I cried so much that first day, being away from my mum and stuff like that. And I was a really shy kid.
Okay. Were you a mama's boy?
I was a big-time mama's boy. I'm an only child, and I didn't like to make a fuss or, disturb anyone or anything like that. But Gio, he liked shouting and screaming and getting everyone's attention. So I think emotionally we're very different. But at school, primary school, I remember the first few years, it's really tough to make friends if you're really shy.
That's true.
Did you have the same problem at all?
I think I was very talkative when I was younger because I was the youngest.
Oh, wow.
And I think when you have older siblings, you end up learning how to talk quicker and just your vocabulary grows faster. So I was very talkative, but I did cry a lot like you too. I was a crybaby, and it was because I always wanted to be with my mom. So whenever
being the youngest as well.
Yeah, I think so. And you can relate to that, as you said, you were an only child. But every time my mom left me with another family member, I would just cry.
Oh dear.
So I was really disliked by many of my family members.
Well, I really hope for Gio's sake that he's not like us. He doesn't cry so much when he first goes to school. I hope it will be okay.
I hope so too. Do you think he's very similar to your wife's personality then?
He's got half, and I think that's great for kids to take a bit from each parent.
Exactly.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Well, I can't really recall my childhood because it was a long time ago. But from what I remember, I was wild and also very independent because I'm an only child and my parents always told me to be brave and confident and to do everything by myself. I was kind of a bit self-motivated as a result, which made my school life a lot easier because I studied by myself and I was a top student in class and I was the teacher's pet, I would say. But that was not a good thing at all because that spoiled me and I kind of bullied other students. So when I look back on my childhood, it's half and half. I have a happy memory, but also at the same time, well, I was not a good student, I can say.
Well, first of all, thanks to Ijin for sharing your story. We asked her to tell us about what she was like when she was little, when she was a lot younger, perhaps back in elementary school. Now, what did you think about her story? I think she and I have a lot of similarities. Back when I was in elementary school, when I was a lot younger, I didn't exactly bully other people. I wasn't a bully, but yes, I didn't really listen to the teacher, didn't really listen to my mom that much, but I guess we don't have many similarities. I wasn't exactly a teacher's pet either. Anyhow, we've heard some great expressions in the actual story, so let's take a look at it together, okay? I've picked out a few things, and here we go with the first one. She said, well, I can't really recall my childhood. Now, what does recall mean? The R-E here means again, right? So, call in this case does not mean to make a phone call, but it means to remember. Remember. I can't really recall, I can't really remember my childhood. Why? Because it was a long time ago. Now she says, but from what I remember, Okay, but from what I remember, this is a great way to tell a story about the past. If you don't remember exactly 100%, but you do remember something vaguely, a little bit of it, you can say, but from what I remember, and then talk about it. She says, I was wild and also very independent. So she was a wild and independent little girl. Now let's take a look at how you can make use of from what I remember, okay? First of all, from what I remember, I was a shy student. I was a shy student. Another one, from what I remember, I was a troublemaker. So if you were in school and you caused a lot of trouble, you always got punished for doing something wrong, you can say that you were a troublemaker. There even is a song, I think, troublemaker란 노래도 있잖아요. Cause a lot of problems. So if that is your case, you can say, from what I remember, I vaguely remember, yeah, I was a troublemaker. Got it? Okay, let's check out what else she mentioned. She said, I was a teacher's pet. What does that mean? Okay, teacher we all know, 선생님, but pet, 애완동물? I was a teacher's pet. Let's take a look at the sample. First of all, teacher's pet is perhaps a student that the teacher favors, the teacher likes a lot. So, a sample sentence is, David brought gifts like cookies and did extra work in class. He was definitely the teacher's pet. Now do you understand what the teacher's pet or a teacher's pet means? There are students like this in school. I remember a few friends. They used to bring cookies, gifts. They did extra work. They were always early to class. They would always ask all the questions. Now, they all did that to become their teacher's pet, okay? A teacher's pet, once again, means a student that is really, really liked or favored by the teacher. Okay, so that was a sample sentence. Moving on to another one. I was spoiled and I kind of bullied other students. Now, spoiled, if food is spoiled, it means that the food has gone bad. But in this case, you were spoiled. It means you got things your way. You could do things your way, okay? 버릇이 좀 없는 거죠. And I kind of bullied other kids. 괴롭혔어요. So if you made fun of all the other kids, if you were mean to the other girls and boys in your class, you were a bully, and the verb form is to bully as well. For example, you can say, I used to, back in elementary school, I used to bully kids in school. What about the other way? There was a bully and he or she made fun of me. You can say, I was bullied, in elementary school, okay? You bully someone, somebody bullies you, okay, in that case. All right, and that about brings us to an end to today's actual story. So please do keep these expressions in mind. Now, with a better understanding, let's take a listen to it one more time.
Well, I can't really recall my childhood because it was a long, long time ago. But from what I remember, I was wild and also very independent because I'm an only child and my parents always told me to be brave and confident and to do everything by myself. I was kind of a bit self-motivated as a result, which made my school life a lot easier because I studied by myself and I was a top student in class and I was the teacher's pet, I would say. But that was not a good thing at all because that spoils me and I kind of bullied other students. So when I look back on my childhood, it's half and half. I have a happy memory, but also at the same time, well, I was not a good student, I can say.
Well, everyone, now that we've taken a listen to actual talk several times and also our interview, as we call actual story, hope that gives you a better idea of what you could possibly talk about in the future if you happen to talk about your elementary school days with your friends or with your coworkers, or even if you happen to do an interview in English. Now, especially when you are doing an interview, you have to think about what you are going to talk about so that you can talk with a natural flow without having to pause in between and really think about what you will say. So now take a listen to our lecture once again or even several times to get a better idea of what you can talk about. Quickly, once again, in today's actual talk, Peter and Rachel, they talked about their childhood years when they were a lot younger back in elementary school. They more focused on when they first started school, how they were very shy. Rachel seemed to be a crybaby because she cried a lot. She didn't want to be apart from her mother. And Peter also talked about his little boy. Now, I don't think he's going to have to worry too much about his little baby boy starting school because personality-wise, right? Personality-wise, they are quite different. Peter said he was a shy boy when he was little, but Chiho, he seems to be a very energetic, a very outgoing little boy. So I'm sure he will have no problem when he starts school as well. So you can talk about your appearance, right? Your physical looks, also how you felt as a little girl or a boy. You can talk about your personality. Also add a few experiences, such as what I told you in the beginning of today's lesson. I told you I was a part of a couple clubs, such as the Brownie Club, also Girl Scouts. If you enjoyed certain sports in school, you can talk about that. Also, were you a mean girl, a mean boy? Did you bully other kids in school? You can talk about that, or even talk about whether you were bullied by other kids. Also, if you were a mama's girl, a mama's boy, or a papa's girl, perhaps even a papa's boy as well. Okay, that about wraps it up today. And we're going to continue on and talk about how we grew up, what we were like growing up. So next time, I'll be joining you with another interesting topic. We'll focus more on your middle and high school years. There's much to talk about, so please do join in for that. In the meantime, come to our homepage, find your way over to www.ebse.co.kr, and you'll find our homepage. We're going to try and post up the scripts for each lesson on our homepage, and you are more than welcome to come by and leave us some comments, your feedback, which is very, very important, and questions as well. We'll try to get to them as soon as possible. All right? Okay, that is a wrap for today, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.